Hello, dear viewer. Maybe you have an idea of what this video's topic is referring to. Maybe you don't, but it shall be discussed here upon this day regardless. I make this work to get a feeler for what the community is thinking of this themselves, and just so I can get an excuse to touch you. And also, before we begin, I now stream on Twitch every so often. Go there if you want more of me more often. I have no schedule because I have no standards. Now back to the video.
I brought in a rocket ship and monkeys underneath her pillow.
Okay, that's great, Philip. Thank you for that.
So as we now begin, I find it important to be clear that the debt of which I speak of has naught to do with any money, at least not directly. Or perhaps this has everything to do with money in the end, but it is not the basis of the debt. It is simply the time debt that Star Citizen and Cloud Imperium Games has found itself in, also known as the tech debt. Ships, weapons, content, items, locations, textures, reworks, refurbishing, reimagining, updates, more, and more. This is one of those frustrations that consistently linger in the back of my mind, as Cloud Imperium constantly treads forth into the future, dropping things for us to pick up along the way, but I find myself worrying about the length of time it will take for them to actually catch up with themselves, and then not consistently delay or completely forget to maintain or update the already implemented content and features. The easiest place to look at this problem is obviously the ships, where whichever new ship gets released is instantly the new meta, with all the new bells and whistles and usually best new features. It is obviously a consequence of the growing competence of the shipbuilding team and the new tech that they are bringing in. But it is also a marketing tool for CIG to utilize against us together with FOMO. Because that old thing that was the meta 2 years ago is old news. It's time for upgrades, people. Upgrades! The constellation has already been reworked several times by itself and is yet again needing a rework. But hold on, I hear you say. Now is not the time for them to update and gold standard all these older ships, because they don't want to have to rework it again in the future, right? Then, per that logic, dear viewer, why do they keep releasing new ships? Because according to that logic, all these new ships we are getting are also going to require reworks to have new features implemented in the future. So the problem is only compounding over time. No matter how many times they brag about how many new ships they have released, the issue will compound if that is the logic that we go by. And at a certain point, I find we must stop ourselves and ask here, when is this going to stop? Not anytime soon by my reckoning, as CIG has blasted past $1 billion, promising a ship that is so massive in scale that I struggle seeing this thing come to reality. On a tangent, the Odin is going to have to be its own separate server for it to function properly. And what happens if 4, 5, or 20 solo Odins decide to show up? My word, we'll have to speak of the tech debt a little bit later. The 600i had a rework promised in 2022. That is now 4 years ago. That's nearly half a decade ago, and we haven't heard a proper peep about what the plan is to this day. I'm still salty about that. I often hear the argument by certain community members that this is because they won't make any money on an already sold ship. But I, of course, disagree. If they are going to utilize the space of the 600i better, generally improve it and bring it up to our modern standards, I believe more people will be interested in picking one up. I understand where the sentiment is coming from, don't get me wrong, but I simply believe that in this case, the logic is not entirely sound. At a certain point, they are going to have to allocate a significant number, or preferably in my mind, the entire vehicle team to ensure that each ship is brought up to the current standard of quality. There are ships that are in desperate need of love, like the Reliance series, remember those? This interior is ancient. The previously mentioned Connies, the Cutlasses, and the Freelancers. So many ships were made obsolete or redundant by newer ships, with newer and cooler features. It's also the case that the older ships simply lack the same amount of firepower as the newer vessels, comparing, for example, the Zeus to a Cutlass Black. At a certain point, one can no longer reconcile aesthetics and design for pure utilitarian function. If you have an objectively worse ship, it won't matter how pretty it is because most people will gravitate away from it to chase that ever-elusive meta. And the crowning jewel of please, for the love of God, update this vessel is the Starfarer. Believe it or not, there was a time in Star Citizen's history when this was the symbol of quality and excellence amongst the ships. It is a night and day difference between it and its little brother, the all-new Starlight. Goodness me. I can't seem to find the clip, but during my retrospective videos research, I came across someone at CIG specifically stating that they are going to bring us more ships of the same quality as the Starfarer. Perish the thought. But now it is time we go beyond just spotlighting the ships. Now it is time, dear viewer, for tech and content.
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology? Technology!
Ladies and gentlemen. Oh, am I kidding? Gentlemen, I am now going to list out a couple of features, content, tech, and stuff that CIG has said that they would put into Star Citizen at one point or another. All these are, of course, brought forth utilizing a list. I don't even care anymore. Time to rip off the internet historian. You reap what you sow. Play the track, Aifen!
Okay.
Dynamic server meshing, bounty hunting V2, maelstrom, base building, realistic AI, elevators that don't kill us, endless bug fixes, exploration, scanning, modularity, player-built ships, player shops, NPC crews, medical gameplay, helmet HUDs, FPS scanning, AI blades, lamp, quantum syncing, quantum boost, MISC Raptor, science, farming, space stations, org features, social features, player apartments, the Orion, fishing.
That is what we're going to tell you today, is what we consider Star Citizen 1.0. That doesn't mean, as I said, that we'll stop at that point. We'll continue to grow and build and add things. So fishing is not on Star Citizen 1.0's list, but I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure it will be not that long after 1.0.
Player paints, data running, free roaming Apex Valakar worms, Pyro Crab, player crew spawning in ships, the Boreal Stalker, hacking, smuggling, transigent jump points, planet tech. What version are we on? Planet updates. Maybe I don't have to fall through them anymore. Points of interest, bartender minigame for the Genesis Starliner. Remember the entire system of Pyro? Pyro Sunflares, station warfare, faction relations, distribution centers, subscriber item reclamation, armor lockers, Star Citizen's main story, escape pods, death of a spaceman, vehicle summoning from freight elevators, ship interior insurance, decorations, max lift batteries, Nyx, Terra, Castra, Starware, drones, mines, shipboard refining, passenger gameplay, gas to fuel, nested ships and vehicles, refactors, reworks, spaghetti code, reimagining the entire Odin,
etc., etc., etc.
At one point, some of these features will one day lead to an MVP, or a minimum viable product. So with all those features that we could think of listed, I will say that I don't mean to be alarmist, but I merely wish to point out the long and arduous road ahead that has me worried. And in a quite literal sense, it has had me scratching my head as to when we could possibly see most, if not all of these things in the same universe. Chris Roberts has stated on multiple occasions that he has never planned on a Star Citizen 2, but that there is only one Star Citizen, and that they'd continue to build upon this game for as long as possible. So the risk of abandonment is low in my mind. No menthols or newspapers here. And with the passing of the billion mark with absolutely no sign of stopping, I think Star Citizen will have a long life. But the question will always be if it will live up to those words of becoming the best damn space sim that we were told of years ago. I ultimately want what is best for the game, and that is why I made this video, to share this concern with the community so that we could perhaps, in some way, tell CIG to stop adding shit and focus on what we've already been promised. But alas, I believe it may be a fool's hope, as any sort of fuss is usually shot down instantly on platforms like the Spectrum. But one can dream, right? But in any case, I am going to ask none other than one of the foremost individuals at CIG about this most concerning topic. When Dearest Jared, can we expect development to accelerate, and when can we expect to see these things in the game? When?
How will you see, Herring? Game development is, hard.
Oh, motherfucker. And as always, thank you very much for deciding to watch one of my masterpieces. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe and all that other cringe shit. And if you wish to support my channel financially, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member or directly by going on Ko-Fi. Join the organization on the Spectrum and join the Discord. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, Jesus Christ. This is going to be a tough one. And a special thank you as always to all my wonderful brand new merchantmen, of which there are a shit ton right now. A most humblest of thanks to my wonderful Apex fishies of Fond, DJ Crowbar, Raptor Jesus, Half-Breed Bastard, and Magic. A stupendous thank you to all my wonderful Sustremmings of Austrian Let's Play,
Billsy Boy,
Argent, Raub Vogel, Toby Derrets, Mouseclick, DJ Crowbar, Combat Creations, Half-Breed Bastard, Leduc, Big Kronk, and of course, Davidri. A suspicious thank you to my fantastic beauties of Aifen Yora and Ignore Me. And a marvelous thank you to all my beautiful enthusiasts. Drenine Fury, Captain Cappy, Elenium Productions, XDK, The Ham Jam, Styles, Kenkins, Noclat, Comrade Winston, Long Yawn, Bloodix, and Monk. And a fishy thanks to all my herrings and roes. Thank you all very much for the money.